Alrighty, welcome everyone back to another episode of Run the System. I actually have someone other than the voices in my head on the podcast this week.
Hell
I
yeah.
have Tyler Jackowski, if I pronounced that correctly. Hopefully I did.
Perfect.
Otherwise known as Mr. J to his former students. You're not still a teacher, are you?
No, I'm not in the classroom anymore, but I run the podcast and the YouTube series and the company that we can talk about later.
Yeah. So have him joining on for a couple reasons. One, fucking hilarious. And two, more related to the content of the podcast and Run the System is with a charity you have done in the last 12 months, two of the Abbott World Majors, raising a ton of money. Yeah, so it's been New York and London, and I am super jealous that you got to do both of those.
I mean, listen, I still have to like think about the fact that, believe it or not, just like 6 months ago was New York. And I thought to myself, I was like, first off, I'm very, very glad to be here. I love the idea of talking about running. I never thought I'd be invited because somebody wants me to talk about running. But I think a good mixture of like not being able to shut up half the time and then also now kind of being into running, it makes sense. So I'm very, very happy to be here, and it means the world that you invited me. I mean, if you told me like 6 years ago that I would be running, period, I would have laughed at you because when I grew up, I wasn't an athlete. The only sport that I could actually do decently in was swimming. And I think that was just because I had like the anatomy of like the average seal. And I wasn't even like that good at swimming. I was more of like a really good teammate. Like in high school, so I swam when I was a kid because it was the only thing I had any promise in. I was getting my face smashed in football. And I started swimming and I was like kind of getting it, but I ended up doing it in high school at a Division I school, and not because I was like Division I material, but because I was like a really good teammate. Like I remember my senior year, I got the coach's award, and when they were introducing it, I didn't think I was winning the coach's award. So they were introducing, they're like, this is someone who, and I'm going to paraphrase here, I'm going to say it in my own way because this is what it really is. They're like, this award goes to someone who has never really done well in the pool. This is someone who has never made the crowd go wow. But every single time that there's someone who is going to make the crowd go wow and they're a little worried about their event, their time, they're a little stressed out, this kid jumps in and says, you know what? If I will never be able to do it, you should. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Jackowski, and I got the coach's award, and I was like, shit. I was like, I got the world's largest participation trophy. And that was like my experience with sports. And I like exercising, but I've never been an athlete. So now it's like, I don't know what got me into the idea of running, especially not marathons, plural, but like, yeah, no, like 6 months ago, I was training for New York, and I just told myself, I was like, listen, this is going to go one of two ways. You're either going to finish or you're going to die. You're not going to DQ. You're not going to get carried off like an earthworm on the side of the road in New York. You're either going to finish it or you're going to die on the road. And I've told too many people I was running it. You know, I said
That's what gets you. Once you put it out there, it's like, hey, I'm doing this. You're kind of locked in.
All I need is peer pressure. That's all I need. So I told too many people that I was running it, and I was like, shit, now I actually have to do it. But I told myself, I was like, you're not going to DQ. I know that New York is a horrific race, a lot of hills, whatever. You're going to finish because, one, your fiance, who wasn't my fiance at the time, I actually proposed like 5 days later. Your soon-to-be fiance is at the finish line. She is accompanied by both of your soon-to-be in-laws and a bunch of other family members who traveled in. One of my friends flew in from California. Shout out Brian. He flew in, and I was like, if they're sitting there for 4 hours waiting for my dumb ass to come in across the finish line, the sun has set, I'm not going to DQ. There's no goddamn way. But all that to say, it's like I always hated running. You know, I hated the concept of it. I hated the concept of doing anything for 5 hours straight. But now it's become something that it's like, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it. But now it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like part of my week. You know, I just see it as like the same as, you know, going to the gym. It's like I'm going to go to the gym a couple days a week and I'm going to run a couple days a week. So I'm glad that I've made it to this point, and I'm excited that I finished New York and didn't die because yeah, like you said, it got me my spot in London, and now it's potentially going to get me my spot in other places, and it's been a lot of fun, you know, and I like that I'm beating back my Northern European genetics and heart disease and dying young. So I'm doing myself kind of a service for that. But no, it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy it now, and I really never thought I'd say that.
Yeah, it's weird kind of how people get into running. It's a lot of the time it's people who are like, no, I'm never gonna fucking run a marathon. Why the
Yep.
hell would I want to do that? Like that, I can sit on a bed of hot coals and get the same amount of pain for a lot less energy expenditure. Like
It's true.
there's no lie there. But like it's for me at least, it started with my first 5K. One of my friends from college was like, hey, do you want to run this 5K? And I said, absolutely not. Why the hell would I want to do that? And he said it's hosted by a local brewery and there's free beer at the end. And I said, next time lead with that. Where do I
Mm-hmm.
sign up?
100%.
And
That would have gotten
then
me too.
5K, did 10K, did half, and then did a half, did a Star Wars half in Florida. And then later that year, I was like, oh, a 20 miler, let me try this one. And I
Yeah.
did that without any training, and I completed it because again, PRER, like finish or die.
Yeah.
Uh, and after that, I'm like, oh, well, if I actually train, I can probably do another 10K and hit a marathon. And
Yeah.
now I've done three marathons, and I'm gonna do two this year, all within a month of each other. So I'm gonna
Insane.
die.
That's mental. That's next level mental.
Well, one of them, I'm doing the Cape Cod Marathon in October, and then in November, I'm doing the Philadelphia Freedom Challenge, which on
Oh.
Saturday is you run the half marathon. An hour later, you run an 8K, so a 5 miler, and then Sunday, you run the full marathon.
Oh. You know there are pills to help with this, right? Like mine is Zoloft. You can take these and you might not have to do this. Like there's medication. There are people who are experts in how to treat whatever it is going on with you.
I don't know what's going on with me. Well,
Who hurt you?
the voices in my head, they don't stop talking.
So now I come in. My guest today is my conscience.
Yeah.
No, but did I ever tell you the story of how I ever did like my first running
No, and
challenge?
I wanted to hit that, like how you got into it, because from my experience, I've been following you for probably about a year or so, because
Yeah.
like the algorithm threw shit at me,
Yeah.
and then threw good stuff at me, which is where I enter. You can see there we go.
Which is great.
But you running New York was like my intro to your running journey, so I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about that and how you've kind of built into marathoning.
Yeah. So the first time that I'm going to put air quotes every single time, ran a marathon, it was not a structured marathon. So basically, this was back in who knows what year after COVID. I can't count years anymore. But my roommates and I, we were all in Boston because we were living in Boston at the time. We were watching the Boston Marathon. So it was obviously April of that year. And you probably know this. If you're not running the marathon and you're a spectator, basically what you're doing is getting plastered drunk on the side of the road,
Yeah.
watching athletes be athletic.
10
So
out of
that's
10
what
can
we were
confirm.
doing. We were not doing the athletic thing. We were getting hammered on the side of the road. So it's like what you did with your 5K, just without any alcohol, or it's like what you did with your 5K, just zero actual athleticism and only drinking.
There was no athleticism when I did that 5K. Let me just make the record abundantly clear.
Well, there you go. So we're on the side of the road watching the Boston Marathon, and this is after like hours of watching people actually do something with their lives. And my roommate looked over to me and he was like, also, I don't know if you can hear all the ambulances in the background. Someone's always dying in New York, and we live right on or off of a main road. So if you hear it, just know that they're not for me yet. But we're sitting on the side of the road in Boston, and my roommate looks over to me and he goes, I don't think anyone in our friend group could run a marathon. And I look back and like the ego in my head, I was like, I could run a marathon. Like, why couldn't I run a marathon? And he's like, no, you couldn't. And I was like, okay, watch this. So it was like a week later, I bought myself a pair of Brooks, and I just decided that that day I was going to get up and at like 7 in the morning I was going to start and I was just going to run until I ran 26.2 miles around Boston. So I legitimately encircled the full circumference of the city, and I wanted to, because I knew, here's the thing, my friends are all like Bostonian kids, right? We're all just like the typical assholes. So exactly. So I told them I knew that they were going to bust my balls if I didn't do something that was comparably difficult to Boston. So I planned it out so that I was just running like a psychopath around all of the city, but I ended it at the point of the marathon where you would be at Heartbreak Hill, that like 700-foot incline at like mile 24.
At the top of Newton Center by BC.
Yeah. Yeah. So I told myself I mapped it out, and I thought I mapped it out correctly. I'll get to that. So I was like, I'm going to do Heartbreak Hill, and then I'm going to be at that mileage. So I'm just going to follow the exact path to the finish line, and I'm going to touch the finish line. I'm going to be done. So here's the problem. I'm dumb as shit. And when I mapped out the path, I didn't realize that I was coming from north down to Newton, right? So what I did was I ran from basically the Back Bay area over towards Boston College where Heartbreak Hill is. Here's what I didn't know. In order to get to Heartbreak Hill from the north, you will have to do Heartbreak Hill, go down Heartbreak Hill to get to the bottom of Heartbreak Hill, turn around and go back up the marathon route. So that means I did Heartbreak Hill twice. And then I finished the marathon. Oh, well, no, this was luckily this was all it was all soon after the marathon. So it was like end of April, early May.
50-50 that you could end up with like 2 feet of snow.
Yeah, you never really know. Boston's like you're tanning and then all of a sudden you're under the snow. But yeah, so I ran it and I did Heartbreak Hill twice and that was terrible. My knee's still out of whack because of it. And then I got down to the finish line, tapped the finish line, and for some reason I still had like 0.8 miles left on it. So I literally just ran in a circle on the sidewalk until I hit 26.2. And then I just like couldn't walk for like the next week and a half because I did not stretch. I didn't use any gels. I barely brought water with me. My AirPods died at like probably an hour and a half in because I didn't charge them because I thought I was going to run it in like 2 hours because apparently I'm like an elite runner now. So that was, technically speaking, my first marathon. But it was A, ugly as hell. It took me like 7 hours. B, I did the track wrong and did Heartbreak Hill twice, which was a nightmare. And C, I didn't even finish at the right mileage because the finish line should be the end, and it wasn't. So that was my first jump into like, maybe I'll try to do like a competitive running challenge. And it was terrible, and it kept me from doing it until I went and did New York.
So what did your friends give you after? Did they at least buy you dinner or a beer? Like,
no, they don't give a shit.
Or did they
They
just,
could
like,
care less.
throw a dunk in it?
Honestly, I think it was probably like a day or two after that I saw my roommate because he is gainfully employed, and I saw him, and I was like, I did a marathon. He was like, cool, and I was like, God damn it! It's like precisely the relationship with my dad where I'm like, guess what I did, and he's like, and. Okay. Which my friends are worse. My friends are significantly worse. But no, now that if it wasn't an organized one, they're like, come on, what? Because you went and skedaddled around the city for 7 hours, or you want me to give you a medal?
You did something stupid that you didn't have to do.
Exactly. So now I'm walking around like Quasimodo for the next 6 years, and then I get to just like have that Medal of Honor where I have a limp. No, it was not a good choice.
But where in Boston did you guys live?
I've been not all over creation. So I went to school at Emmanuel College. So as soon as I turned 18, I moved into the city, started going to college. I lived on Emmanuel's campus for 2 years. The third year I lived in Mission Hill, which is a beautiful it's a part of the city. And I worked in that area as well. I love Mission Hill. I can't even pretend that I don't. I absolutely love Mission Hill. But I lived in Mission Hill for a little bit. Then I moved back onto campus for my senior year because they had just built a brand new dorm that was just for the seniors. So we got this gorgeous apartment style, whatever. Also, fun fact, the first co-ed dorm in Emmanuel College's history was my room, which was sick because it's like this tiny like private Catholic school, and they were very like stay away, and it was
Leave
their
room for the
first
Holy
like it
Spirit.
was one of the first like more progressive things that they've done, which I thought was sick. And them entrusting it with me is batshit, but it ended up being really really cool. We met like two of my roommates are like still best friends of ours. The guy that I lived with is going to be one of my groomsmen in my wedding. He and I are like best buddies. But yeah, it was ultimately a really, really great time. Once we graduated, I moved to Brighton, which is, again, one of these little suburbs
Yeah.
of Boston. It was just like a beautiful little area. So I bounced from Brighton to Alston, which is like this super collegey, like grunge rock sort of like
Yep.
it's like a weird like combination of like college kids and like metal music artists all living in the same little place. We got broken into a bunch. It was fun. And then moved back to Brighton for the last year that I was there. And then I moved to LA to be with Rania. Now we're in New York.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was a good time.
You definitely got a lot of geography covered.
Yeah, dude, we saw all the places that we could afford at the time because it's like you can live in Back Bay in Boston, but you're going to be spending 3,000 a month, and there was no way we were cutting that. Then it's like the Seaport area, it's just too compiled for me to live there, and that's my way of saying I also couldn't afford that. But we stayed where we could, and like my brother was living in Dorchester for a long time at the same time, so it was nice to have him right down the street. It
Nice.
was dope. I love living in Boston. I like being able to visit it, but I really did enjoy, especially going to college, like
Yeah.
300 feet away from Fenway Park. It was sick. I loved it.
Yep. I'm definitely looking forward to getting back up
Oh
there.
yeah, no, it's great, and I've never lived there as like an actual like I've never lived there as an adult that I am now. I've only lived there as like those years where they're like, all right, you're not in college anymore, but you're not a kid, but you're definitely not an adult. So just like don't die for these years, and then you can go somewhere else.
We're gonna let you off the leash, but we're still kind of watching you.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, we're gonna keep the headlines, like we're gonna keep a spot for you in the obituary in case you like get hit by a train or something. Who
Above the
knows?
fold, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Above,
No, my
above the
picture
you get
just
run over by the green line.
exactly my dumbass because I tried to cross and make it to Dunkin' Donuts faster than the other guy.
So, one question that I've wanted to ask you is, I think you came out with a certain video right around New York, and it was what your students would say at your funeral. Was that a prop up to if you died, what you expected people to say, or?
Well, in a way, so those things my students would say at my funeral videos, I've always loved making those. When I was in the classroom, after I left the classroom, it's like I think that what people don't talk about enough, and I will tie this around to running, I promise. What people don't talk about enough with these generations of students is that kids in classrooms these days are so goddamn funny. Like, I will never be as funny as the average student in today's schools. They are so goddamn funny, and they're 99% of the reason why anyone watched any of my videos when I would make them in the classroom. My students were some of the funniest people I've ever met, and I literally learned a lot from them. And whenever I make those videos, it makes me feel like I'm taking the types of senses of humor that I saw in the classroom and elongating it and letting people know that, like, yeah, they say crazy shit, but also, like, they're so perfectly timed and just hilarious kids that you'll never expect it. And I think that those videos kind of, like, compromise with, like, you'll never hear it from a student because they're worried that they're going to be too disrespectful because everybody's like, you need to be super nice to me because I'm an adult. But it also like crosses over the fact that like these kids, if you give them a minute to be themselves, they're the funniest goddamn individuals you'll ever meet in your whole life. Now, when it comes to New York, I found out I was running New York in the beginning of November at so this is actually a funny story. So for God knows what reason, through a bunch of random life events, I've become pretty good friends with some people who are on a Bravo show called Summer House. And because of that, I don't know if you've ever heard of the show, but basically the whole premise is they live in the city, they go to Montauk on the weekends, chaos erupts. It's an awesome show. I've loved it for a long time. Now, again, through some random life experiences, I become cool acquaintances with these guys. And my fiance Rania and I, we got invited to one of their parties. So we're at one of their parties and we're just like talking it up with, whoever. And we got into conversation with a woman named Caitlin Healy, who is she works in PR for some of the people on Bravo, but she also is one of the main organizers for the company that I ran with called Release Recovery Foundation. She was at the party as well, and we're at this party and I'm like drinking a bunch of like Lover Boys, which is one of their like sponsored drinks and whatever. And so I'm like 5 drinks deep and we're in conversation with a bunch of people, and the conversation of the New York Marathon comes up, and I offhandedly said, I've always wanted to run a marathon. And she went, really? Did you? And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, I have multiple bibs for New York. Mind you, this is like the end of the first week of September. So we have like
New York's coming in hot. You don't
New
have
York's
a
coming in
20-week training cycle.
hot. There are people who have been training 8 months for New York, right? And now I know why. So she's like, if you want, we have a couple leftover bibs you can run with Release Recovery, raise some money with us, and we'll get you the bib and whatever. So I'm like, great. Marathons aren't hard, and New York can't be that difficult. Dipshit that I am.
Sorry, I'm laughing.
Yeah, so no, it was like 3 days after that party, I was talking with Rania, and I was like, do you think she was serious? And then I get a call, and I made a video about that. I got a call,
I saw that.
And I'm like,
hope and light just drained
oh my
from
God.
your face.
When I tell you, I was like, wait, she's calling. I need to record this. And she's like, I got you a spot. And I was like, fuck.
Great.
God
That's
damn it.
awesome.
So Caitlin and I, we're tight as a tick's ass. She and I are, she's the best. She's just like the sweetest person in the world, but she is also the bearer of every horrific piece of news that I've ever heard. And, I did New York, and after, it was like probably a week, right? So fun fact about New York. I don't stop talking. Cut me when you have a question you want to ask.
This is, I had questions, but like we're all good.
This is why before we started, I was like, in case this goes for 5 hours, just cut me at this time. I have my own podcast to record later. It's like, Jesus. So, what the hell was I going to say? Oh, I got to take my medication. So during New York, obviously the crowds of any marathon are like insane, and New York is nuts. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't realize the concept of like, you need to go nice and easy. Don't be doing anything stupid.
Hard. You have 26 miles.
Don't get hyped up by the crowds and whatever. So I get over the is it the Queensboro Bridge, the first one, the big one? Yeah, there's a bridge that you start off with. It's a nightmare. So then you end up in Brooklyn, and it's the first time that you really get hit with the crowds, right? Mm-hmm. So we're a mile in, and I see my first crowd, and I'm like, oh my God. I take my AirPod out. I'm screaming. I'm jumping up and down, physically jumping 2 feet off the ground. I'm high-fiving everyone. I'm screaming. I'm spinning. I'm doing all of this, right? So now, I didn't realize that jumping up and down and sprinting and high-fiving people was going to come back to haunt me. Now, it came back to haunt me because my knee completely went out at around mile 17. Remind me to tell you about my experience at mile 24. Ask me about that at some point, because I had a really, you're going to need that, because this is how my brain works. I had a really scary moment. So now, during the marathon, as you obviously know, people are like handing you shit like apples and bananas and oranges and all of these. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything I could possibly get handed, I took. So I'm taking a banana out of someone's hand.
For anything since then?
Just wait. So I'm taking like bananas and apples and shit out of people's hands, high-fiving children the whole time, and now I'm eating things with the hands that I'm high-fiving all of New York, right? So when I finished the marathon, I got bronchitis. So the damage I did to my knee, and I'll get right into that right after I tell you about the bronchitis. So the damage I did to my knee, my feet were cooked, my back was cooked, my hips were non-existent. So I woke up the next day and I was like, oh my God, I'm like, I can't breathe. I'm like flu-like symptoms. And I was like, I know what'll help. Let's do a cold plunge. Let's do a cold plunge and let's go into a sauna, which is apparently the worst thing you can do with bronchitis because it exacerbates everything that you're feeling. So I had the pain of the actual marathon itself, bronchitis, and then I just kicked it 5 levels up. And I dealt with that for the week leading up to my proposal that was on the 7th
I was
of
gonna say, if I
November.
recall, there was like a rooftop terrace there. So and it's New York, so you probably
Yeah,
have
dude.
to walk upstairs.
I was planning all of this. I had my birthday on Halloween, the 31st. Okay. On the 1st, we had our cousin, my Greek godmother's birthday on the 1st. That was Nicole's birthday. Then no. Yes. Yeah. On the 1st, we had that birthday. And then on the 2nd in the morning, I had the marathon. 5 days later, I'm proposing to my girlfriend at the time. It was a nightmare. Now, what the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, so I got bronchitis from all of the shit that I was eating from the hands and buckets of various New York, and that was just like an absolute nightmare. So I'm like, is this something that happens? So I go to my best friend ChatGPT and I'm like, does this happen? And it's basically like I'mRight.com. And they told me, they're like, yeah, some marathoners will experience flu-like symptoms because of the lowered immunity system or lowered immune system and the heightened cortisol and whatever. It'll cause you to have flu-like symptoms. Don't worry, you're fine. So come day 2 after the marathon, when I couldn't breathe, I'm like, this is just a marathon thing. Single person did not get bronchitis. Fun fact. So it was, I don't even remember what your question was, but yeah, I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, it was kind of. I don't even remember what the fuck the question was either, but that was a good
Welcome to
story.
my world. Imagine being my fiance, having to hear me talk like this about every single subject. We spend 24 hours a day together. Like this podcast is the most time we'll spend apart today.
Oh God, and you're spending it with me? Damn, I'm
Yeah, it's
sorry.
beautiful. I get to piss somebody else off for a change.
So what happened at mile 24?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Okay. So, like I said, I was jumping around doing stupid shit, like not conserving energy and not treating my limbs correctly for the entire first 15 miles of this marathon. I was sprinting, jumping, jogging, doing all the wrong shit. So I started getting this crazy knee pain in my right knee around mile 17, right?
Hmm.
So I was feeling this pain, and when I was walking, it was fine. When I was running, it was stinging, shooting, you need to stop right now pain, right?
Inside
So
or outside of the knee?
inside back of the knee,
Hyperextension of the PCL or ACL?
probably. I have no idea. All I knew was ouch. And so I got to mile 24, right? And I had this weird moment. So keep in mind, I'm running and I have significant knee pain. I get to mile 24 and I had this weird moment where my vision went like this, down to the right. Like full blown, what I was seeing here went over here. And I thought to myself, I was like, shit, am I about to pass out? Like, am I literally about to hit the ground right now? But here's what happened. When that vision shift happened, my knee pain stopped. So I'm like, shit, am I having a stroke right now? Is my body like ending? Like, am I about to have an arrhythmia and just die? So I was thinking to myself, I started freaking out. I'm like, oh my God. I'm at 24. I have 2.2 miles until I'm done with this, and I can't stand up, right? So I'm like woozy as shit. I'm
Did you
holding
go
onto the
was it, like,
guardrail.
tunnel vision that like
Yeah, dude. My vision. So imagine that like what you're seeing right now is in a square, right? The square itself fell, and what wasn't the square was black. So my vision went woof, and I was like dangling, standing up. And I thought to myself, I was like, all right, I know we joked about dying, but I don't want to die right now. But my knee pain went away, and I was like, this could be a good thing. It's not. So I walked for like a good half mile after that because I was like, I'm not risking fainting on a New York street at mile 24 and a half. I'm not doing that. So
At
I
least it was
walked.
during the marathon and it wasn't just like on a random New York street. So like you would
No.
have had at least that going for you.
You know what I would have had? I would have had 4,000 cameras in my face being like, why is Mr. J passed out on the ground? That's what would have ended up happening. Frankly, I think I would have been better off being on a random street in Queens where somebody was like, I don't know this kid, because why would I? But he's on the ground, so I'm going to call the cops. So, like, I got the shit scared out of me in that moment, and I was like, I can't be ballsy about this race anymore. I need to be like full blown conservative about this race. So I was like barely jogging for like the remainder of the race until I got into Central Park, like that loop into Central Park. Funny enough, we ran past the Marriott Essex house that I ended up proposing to Rania in. So I ran past it and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, this is it. Like, I'm going to
Fucking we
run.
ball.
I'm not going to be walking past my future in-laws and my future fiance, at some point wife. I'm not going to do that. So once I saw the Marriott Essex house, I was like, screw it. We're running. So I got myself up to a startling 11-minute pace, and I finished, and it was just like, the minute it ended, they don't tell you that you get a 3-mile walk halfway up Central Park to get out of the goddamn place. Nobody tells you that. They should tell you that. Why doesn't anyone tell you? Even London. London, I had to go all the way up the end of Buckingham Palace, that little, what do they call it? They call it like the market?
Yeah.
Something like this. You have to go all the way up the market into that little square and then take a right and go all the way down through 7,000 Europeans to find your group. I walked like an extra 4 miles finding them. No one tells you that. They should have wheelchairs ready for every finisher.
That's why I just go to the medical tent.
Honestly, I was considering, because I couldn't get any reception. That was never happening. But like, I saw Rania in this one was really, really nice. Like, because I was freaking moving and grooving. I took 50 minutes off of my marathon time. Balled out. I was goddamn flying. And I saw them at like mile 25 and a half ish, right? Mm-hmm. So I saw them right before the bird cage, that straightaway before Buckingham Palace, whatever the hell it is, London. And I saw them, and it was just so awesome because I was doing so well, and I saw my father-in-law, and he's the entire group of Greeks. They're Greek Cypriots, so they're Cypriots. They party, they love excitement, they love energy. So when I get over there, they're jumping, they're losing their goddamn minds. Her dad comes up, and there's like a 60-year-old man. He's walking up with his phone. He's like, "Let's take a picture." He's on like Facebook, and I'm like flipping it back and around. I'm like, "Give me the phone. We're wasting time." I take the phone. I take like 700 pictures, and I'm like, "I'll see you in a minute." And I sprinted.
Nice.
I did like an 8.5 for the last 0.7 miles. I was flying for the end of this marathon, and it was tough because I was like, I want a really good time, but I also want to like get the content that I need to like do what I have to do, because it's like part of the reason I'm here. So you can see it in the video. Like, I slow down a little bit while I'm talking, but they're quick clips because I was goddamn flying to finish this. But it was at that point where I saw them where Rania's like, "Go to meeting point A," and I was like, got it.
There we go.
It was awesome.
That same energy that you just described, where you're ripping an 8:30, that's exactly what happens at Boston. When I ran it, I was fucking dying. Like, I was in like from like mile 14 on, I was in every medical tent getting like biofreeze to like numb the pain.
They have biofreeze in the medical tents?
They did in Boston.
Oh my God, that stuff saved my life. The couple of days after, I was spraying my whole body. I was spraying my nuts with biofreeze. I was like, I'm in so much pain. Yeah. Somebody needs to help me.
And I got it on like my knees and calves, and that got me to the next medical tent.
Easy. Yeah. And that's the thing for me, is that I'm like, I had a funny mentality going into London, because with with New York, I did New York in 5.5. With the knee problems, with the almost dying problems, with like the overall fear of just like, I just want the medal. I was very, 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 very conservative with New York. And
Hmm.
when I got to London, I was telling my family members, because a bunch of them flew in from Cyprus. They came in from New York. All these people that came in to chill with me, and it's all from my in-law family. It's so funny. They love any opportunity to get together, and it was such a good time. So I told them, I was like, you got to understand that if I feel good, I'm gonna keep moving. Like, as
Yeah.
long as I feel okay and nothing is like I pulled this, I cracked that, like my brain is about to shut off. If I feel good, I'm gonna be flying. And Rania was laughing to me. She was like, I was watching you on the app, and she's like, you told me you wanted to do 10-minute miles for the first six. She's like, you did 9, 8.5, 9, 9, 9. And she was like, we had to cancel our lunch early, or we had to end our lunch early to get to the place on the birdcage to see you. And we almost missed you. And I was like, I told you, if I'm moving and I feel
Yeah.
good, I'm going to keep going. And now looking back, I mean, let's think about it. I took a piss twice,
Hmm.
right? Like I went to the first bathroom one because I was like waiting in that whole like area before you actually start, and I was like all the nerves and all this, and makes you have to piss. So I went to the first place to go to the bathroom. Then I pissed one other time. I stopped for water a good amount of times, but I ran through most of the waters. I think, knowing what I know now, if I go do like Chicago or Berlin in October or September,
Hmm.
and then I get to do like a Tokyo or a Boston, I think that there are moments early that I could probably do like a good half minute or a minute faster for a couple of
Hmm.
miles, simply because I know that with, the gel schedule that I did, Martin Gels, I will be getting sponsored by Martin Gels. If you post this goddamn clip. Martin Gels, sponsor me and Chris to do Boston Marathon, and I will push your product to the moon. Those things legitimately saved my goddamn life. Are you cringing because you don't like Martin Gels?
On advice of counsel, I'm going to take my Fifth Amendment right.
Fair. They were I genuinely think one of the sole reasons why I finished with the energy that I finished with.
Yeah.
I had never used them strategically. They were fantastic.
So with the gels and everything, my stomach when I'm working out doesn't like anything. So
Fair.
I did the Broad Street 10 miler this past weekend in Philly,
Yeah.
and just for the hell of it, I was like, let me try Martin because I've never actually tried them before, and I was like,
Yeah.
I won't knock it till I try it. And this is one of
Yeah.
those things like it's a 10-mile race. If I blow up, I blow up. Like I'm not gonna die, whatever.
Yeah.
So I did it, and it just I could feel it in my stomach. And for the mile after I took it, I felt like I was going to throw up. It felt like someone just punched me in the stomach. But then after that, the energy kicked in.
Yeah.
But I can't be doing that every 3 miles during a marathon. So I
Yeah.
go with it's like the Gatorade or the Cliff Blocks, essentially like gummy bears,
Oh yeah, I saw
like that
those.
texture. It's that or Honey Stinger is my go-to. I'll do the Honey Stinger waffles beforehand and then
Yep.
do the like gusher type chews because that's really easy on my stomach. Then I use Motive Pure in my water because that's just like straight electrolytes. And
That's
Pedialyte.
solid.
Don't underestimate just Pedialyte in your water bottle.
I
Just
have heard that. I think you told me that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean this time around, I think the things that made a substantial difference, there were many. I will say that the time that I did was after a very lackluster couple of months of training, because it was winter in New York, and I hate running on a goddamn treadmill. I can't do it.
Mhm.
It makes me turn into
The
a
Dreadmill.
psycho. I can't do it, and I don't like doing it. 1 mile on a treadmill feels like 5 outside. If
Mhm.
you told me, Tyler, for the rest of your life as a human being, you can only run 5 or more miles at a time, but it has to be outside, or you can only run on a treadmill for the rest of your life, I would be running 5 plus every single time that I run
Yep.
until the day that my legs stop working. I hate running on a treadmill. I don't like intervals on a treadmill. I don't like distance on a treadmill. I hate it. It makes me psychotic, and this is what I get medicated for.
Absolutely. Like I have a very hard time continuing training throughout the winter because I would have to run on a treadmill. And fucking if I'm gonna be running an 18-mile long run on a treadmill, like just
No.
hit me with a bus at that point.
I
Like,
think the furthest I've ever run on a treadmill in all the time that I've ever been training was like 5 miles. And I hated every single second of it. But that's the thing. Like, again, things that make a difference for this marathon is like, I didn't get to do as many miles. Like, I would love to be doing 40 to 60 miles a week leading up to my next marathon. And I think I can pull that off because I can pretty easily crank out like 5 to 7 comfortably in like enough time where I'm like still able to be like a
yeah.
fiance. But this winter, it was freezing cold in New York. There was a shitload of snow. It was like, it was not something where I could be like, gotta do it. No. So I'm doing like all these little like 1-milers, and I justified it by doing like 1-milers on an incline at like level 10.
Yeah.
Or not level 10. That's a ridiculous time. Like level 7. So I do it on an incline and being like, this is probably the same as running 5 miles. And it's just not. It's
And
not the same
screw that,
experience
like,
on your
it's the
joints or your
run, you
knees.
got to get out and do that. Like, screw that. I'm not running when it's 2 degrees out doing an 18
No.
long run. No.
I'm not that into it. Like I will wait until it gets a little bit warmer, but now it's like it's a different animal, but at a okay. So it's a different animal, but it's like the same word in a different font trying to run in the summer in New York, because like when I was getting ready for even when I was getting ready for London, my long run was 22 miles, I believe, something like that. I did
Yeah,
it
'cause
like
you had reached out to me. You're like, hey, I got this, babe. What the fuck do I do?
yeah, literally. I got it and I just like had no idea what I was doing. But I did my long run and I timed it because I'm an idiot on the one day that it was 88 degrees in New York in full humidity. This past like a month ago, right? So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it at this time because I don't have time to run a long run otherwise, and I'm not going to not do a long run before London. So I told myself, I was like, all right, let's get out early. I'm like, I'll wake up at 7. No. I ended up getting on the street at like 8:30-ish, and I did my run. When I got on the street at 8:30, it was probably 70 degrees out. By the time that I got to a half, it was like 86 degrees out. And by the time I finished it, it was full temperature, 88, 89, almost 90 degrees outside.
Nope.
Full sun in my face. Probably took one gel, barely enough water. Like, it was not a good looking 22 miles. But one thing I noticed was it felt a lot better than almost all of my runs leading up to New York. So now I'm like, listen, if I'm going to run Berlin or I'm going to run Chicago, I'm going to have probably 5 to 6 times the miles that I had for either of my past 2 marathons. And they're going to be actually like trained miles. They're not just going to be like, go out there and see if you live. It's going to be like purposeful and including the gels so that I'm even more used to them at that time. And, you know, utilizing like the knee brace that I got and the new shoes I'm going to get. I'm definitely getting those goddamn Alpha Flies. No doubt in my mind. I'm buying them. Those are going to be my next marathon shoes because the New Balance or whatever the hell I'm running, or Reeboks I think that I'm running with right now, I love them. They got me through my first 2 and 5 months, but I'm done with them.
The one question I have is your foot a traditional medium width or are you at all wide?
I think medium. It's definitely not a very wide foot.
Because just get that double checked because Nike tends to run narrow in all of their shoes. So if your
Yeah.
foot is even on the cusp of being like a wider medium, that might you might run into some issues there. And your worst case scenario, like the front part of your foot ends up falling asleep because of lack of circulation, as,
Great.
as well as when you run. So
Yeah,
there's
do you know
that.
it's so funny buying running shoes is such a bitch because it's like you can't just put like when you buy a pair of Nike SBs, you can put them on in the store and walk around for about 12 seconds and you know how they're going to feel when you're walking for 10,000 steps. When it comes to running shoes, you don't know what your heel or foot or heel or like toes are going to feel like. I have lost many toenails in the past 6 months that I've been doing.
Your shoes are too small.
Probably, right? Like I just like in my mind, I'm like, I either need bigger shoes or this is just what happens when you run a marathon.
Most
And
most of the time you're a size too small, so you should go up at least half a size.
yeah, so I think I need
If
to
you
start
measure
buying
at a
11s.
nine, if you measure at a nine, you should be running in nothing less than a nine and a half.
Okay, so I want to do like, because I think I'm going to go to this spot down the street where they have like a bunch of different options for shoes and whatever, and do the sizing and do like whatever's recommended to me. But I definitely need a shoe that's like, because I think here's what I noticed about me running recently, especially in London. My energy and my mental toughness does not go. I can talk myself into running. What goes is my physical capabilities. My hips, gone. My knees, gone. The bottoms of my feet, my ankles were okay, but the bottoms of my feet, gone. Like, that's what'll hold me back faster than any like mental toughness or willingness to push myself. I got that. Like, I had, like, the gels are great for the energy. The caffeinated gels were awesome. Like, they kicked me forward. But it's hard to get kicked forward mentally when physically speaking, you know, it's not like I'm taking a Tylenol during the marathon where I don't feel the pain of that. So that's the thing for me. I need to find a better way to overcome the physical joint ailments rather than the mental ailments. And if I can have my joint situation feel as good as my mental and energy situation, I'll be cruising,
Yeah.
you know, but that's from what I've come to learn, and correct me when I'm wrong, like that has to do with time on feet. That has a lot less to do with
There's time on
gear.
feet, but it's also recovery too.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure you're stretching out. You have to foam roll, especially up by the hips and the lower back.
Yeah.
But I also think once you actually get evaluated for shoes, that will help too. Because one thing
Yeah.
I've learned is the shoes really set up the rest of your skeleton
Yeah.
for either success or failure.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny? It was actually really a sad situation because my fiance, she's an angel, and she knew after New York that I wanted a new pair of running shoes, and I've talked incessantly about these Hokas, right? And she went out and she got me this pair of Hokas, and I'm not sure what exactly, like what style, model, whatever they are. And she got me these Hokas, and I was like, hell yeah, I'll run in these all the time. And I was noticing when I started getting to do my long runs that like the sides of my foot, like if this is my foot, like this part and this part were just getting ripped to shreds. And I was finding myself having to stop my runs because my foot pain was worse than it's ever been. And I told my fiance, I was like, listen, you got to understand these I've wanted these forever. You got me the right pair of shoes that I wanted, but I think if I run if I run London in these, I'm going to be bleeding through the shoes on my feet. It's going to be
Yeah.
a problem, and I might not finish if I try to do it there. So I told her, I was like, I'm going to run it in the shoes that I ran New York in because they're broken in and they have withstood the test of time. And I told her, I was like, you need to know, it's not because I don't like the shoes. It's because the shoes don't like me.
Yeah.
You know? So that's one thing that's so funny about it is that on paper, those Hokas should have been like the perfect shoe for me because they have the compression and they have the whatever, you know? But I think I need to be even more choosy with what I end up wearing, especially for future runs where I'm trying to beat my PB.
Yeah. Definitely.
So that's where I'm at.
So what's coming up next? Do you have, so we talked a little bit about like Berlin, Chicago, and everything. Are we definitely doing that? Are we in talks with the dreaded phone call coming in of
Well, here's the thing. Nothing's locked down yet, and it's not because of not wanting to. I want to run all of them, and if it were up
yeah,
to me, like it's just like the timing of it all because here's like the breakdown for it. And also, between you and me and everyone listening, like I've already been offered the spot on Berlin. Like I can do Berlin if I want to. But the problem isn't in like the ability to get there or do it or train or whatever. It's with the schedule. Like Rania and I are getting married next August in Cyprus. So we have an engagement party that's happening, I think like 5 to 8 days before Berlin. So it is a little bit of a turnaround
yeah,
for the marathon. And like if we can make that work with Berlin, awesome. I'd love to do Berlin. if I can't do Berlin, obviously the next closest one to that is Chicago. And I've never been to Chicago. I'd love to do Chicago.
Hmm.
But the thing with Chicago is that, like I said, we're getting married in Cyprus and we have to go over there and solidify a bunch of different things for the wedding. It sounds like we're going to Cyprus specifically for wedding planning and narrowing down all these different vendors in the beginning of October. So if we are going to do wedding planning stuff, because that's the only time, because
Yeah.
Cyprus, I don't know if you've ever seen Cyprus or heard much about it. Cyprus is heaven on earth. And people, especially Greeks and anyone who's visited in the European area, they know that. So they want to get married in this, like, it
Yeah.
literally looks like you're on Mount Olympus. It is the most gorgeous place in the world. It's ranked the #1 cleanest beaches in the world. The food is everything you love about Mediterranean food, hyper focused into like this little Cypriot twang to it. It is the best food you're ever going to have. Like, but people know that. So they're booked out for weddings so far in advance, and they're booked out for securing vendors so far in advance. So if we don't go to Cyprus a year in advance, then these vendors are just going to take someone who's locked in, right?
Yep.
So that's the thing. That's my long-winded answer for like the fall marathons, because I'd really love to get another Abbott done in fall of this year. It's just going to come down to timing. I think the most realistic one would be Berlin, but it's just going to come down to timing. And I can't do New York again because first and foremost, it would be the morning after my 30th birthday because my birthday's on Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. Like, lovingly, I've really enjoyed getting better with marathons. I'm not at a place where I'm like, I'm not going to enjoy a pretty benchmark birthday of mine.
Birthday because you have to run a marathon the next day.
Exactly. I'm not doing that. No, I'm still at a place in my life where I don't want it to overcome things that are important to me as a person. Like, I would never like not go to Cyprus to see my family or not go to Boston to see my family because there's a marathon. But I still want to play around with the scheduling opportunities because I think, I don't know, I it's awesome. You know, every time I'm in the end of a marathon, I'm like, this shit sucks. I'm never doing this again. And then I finish, I get the medal, and I'm like, all right, when's the next one? You know? So
Yeah.
I really want to, here's the perfect world for me. Absolute perfect world. Berlin in September, either Tokyo or Boston next year. Preferably Tokyo because I want to see Tokyo at some point
Yeah.
in this new part of my life. If I can do Berlin, then Tokyo, then I would do Chicago, then Boston, and then somewhere fixed into that, I'd run Sydney.
So you do Berlin fall of 26, Tokyo
Yeah.
spring of 27,
Yep.
Chicago fall of 27, Boston spring of 28, and then Sydney. When is Sydney?
When does Sydney happen? I thought it was in like January.
Well, that would be their summer.
Oh, it's not in January then.
Well, that's summer in Australia because remember they're Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, Jesus. That must be I gotta, now we gotta find out when.
August. So you could do
Okay, so it's opposite. It'll be
you could do Boston then Sydney.
It's not a bad idea.
Boston spring of 28, Sydney late summer of 28.
It's not a bad idea at all. And the thing for me is that it's like, there's a part of my brain that's like, okay, you've done 2 marathons, 2 Abbott majors in 5 months. Okay. You're training, you're getting better with recovery and fueling and taking care of yourself, whatever. And I swear to God, I'm going to say this now and we're going to have the same conversation in a year, but it's like I'm at a point in my life where I'm capable of saying, if I feel good, I'm going to keep going. If I feel good, I'm going to keep doing these goddamn marathons and I'm going to keep knocking off Abbott majors because in my mind, I'm like, you're not going to feel good forever. Right. So I'm like, I'm going to smash as many of these as I can while I'm still feeling good. But also I want the longevity of it because I'm not running for no reason.
Yeah.
You know, like, before New York Marathon, Roadrunners host, like, what is it? That Night of Champions?
Yeah.
Right. So I went to that in Yeah, November, or maybe end of October, whatever. I went to that, and so the head of Roadrunners was talking, whatever. He was like, "There's somebody that I want to bring up to talk to you all, who's a real inspiration to me and an inspiration to a lot of runners, and I think you guys will really enjoy what he has to say." This man, I don't know what his name is. Who knows? I'm going to call him Dale. Dale has run, I think, like 26 marathons in his life. His most recent was in 2023, and he is currently 93 years old. And I'm sitting there and I'm like,
Damn,
shut up, right? So I'm like, all right, so where is he? Is he getting wheeled in? No. He goes, Dale, come on in. So right in front of the stage, they have like the speakers who are going to pop up. This dude, I shit you not, did this. Right? So this man, 93 years old, like I just did, that hurt me. He jumped out of his seat, ran up. He didn't go like around the side to like get up on stage. He jumped 2 feet, no hands, up onto the stage, grabbed the mic from the dude like he's Kanye West, and he goes, "What's up, everybody?" Huh?
I'm gonna let you finish, bud.
I'm gonna let you finish, but wait 1 second. I got to do a cartwheel real quick. And I'm sitting there, and me and my buddy Brian are there together, and we're like, what is happening? And he's like, I'm telling you this right now. I don't know what he said exactly, but he was like, I'm telling you this right now. The sole singular reason why I'm able to do everything you're seeing today and everything I've done in the past and run, I think he does like 25 miles a week. 93. I'm Polish. We don't live to 93. This man's running 5 or 25 miles a week at 93. He goes, everything about my genetics and everything about my family history tells me that I should not be alive right now. Even if I wasn't alive right now, nothing about my family genetics says that I should be able to run this much or be this energetic. He goes, the number one reason why I'm in the shape I'm at right now, the age I'm at right now, and the consistency and longevity I've accomplished is because of running. He's like, that's it. And I was like, all right.
We're going to go.
Screw it. I'm going to run forever, right? So the reason I say that is because in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, this is something like, yes, it's a huge challenge, and marathon running is not good for your body. Like, the training is obviously good and consistency and whatever, but I looked at this guy's story and I was like, my genetics tell me that heart disease, stroke, early death, all of this is very much a thing, right? Did I ever tell you about my heart situation?
I don't think so, no.
Okay,
we are getting towards 115.
It is getting close to 115. This will take me 3 minutes and then we'll clock it.
I wanted to let you know, depending on the story. We can always.
I told you I could talk forever.
We can always
it's a problem.
Back and do a part 2 of
100%.
Hey, how's training going? Well, we're
absolutely
both fucking dying.
Easy. Yeah, no, if I'm still here, if I'm able to, I'm going to sit here. But here's the thing. So, I didn't know this about myself, but my entire life I've had mass anxiety, like a huge issue with anxiety. I was having anxiety attacks when I was a kid. My parents thought it was asthma, so I got an inhaler. So my entire life I thought I had asthma, and I thought I thought that life was just very worrisome. So when I moved from the first school that I worked at to the second school, there was this moment in August before the school year started where I was visiting some friends of mine out in Las Vegas. And there was one morning where I was just sitting in the lobby waiting for them to meet up with me. And in my head, I was thinking about like the school year, new school, new curriculum, new students, new grade, all this. And my heart rate got to 210 for 10 minutes, sitting perfectly still. Started getting lightheaded, couldn't stand up, couldn't breathe, all this, went black, whatever. Eventually it stopped, luckily, but my heart rate was at 210 for 10 minutes, which anyone with any level of heart disease or age over 45, most cardiologists would call that like a premature heart attack. And it was all anxiety. So at that point, I was like, this is getting out of hand. I ended up having to go to a cardiologist to get a device put in my chest, which is currently still in my chest. It's right here. Okay? It's right there. And I had it to basically like watch my heart because it turns out that I had a massive arrhythmia because of my anxiety. My anxiety has put a toll on my heart that has caused an arrhythmia. And we needed to watch it really closely. And if it happened again, I had to like report to the lab with this to look at it to find out whether or not it was atrial fibrillation, which is a no-no for my heart. Huh?
Is it one of those Zeo patches?
No, so it's under the skin. I had to get
Okay.
I had to do a surgery for it. So I got the thing put in, and my doctors were like, it's either anxiety or atrial fibrillation, which is bad, which is a no-no for my people. And so I got that put in my chest. At the same time, I was like, this is getting out of hand. I got to just, cut the cord on this. I started therapy. I got with a psychiatrist. I got medicated for my ADHD and anxiety put together, which they have that. They have specific treatments for specific combinations. I didn't know that. In my mind, therapy was like, you only go there if you're like having really horrible thoughts, right? But no, it's like therapy's for everybody with a human brain, right? And I needed it. So I started the therapy. I started my medication. I'm still in therapy, and I have not had a single heart palpitation since. This thing in my chest, it is there, but it is turned off. It does not do anything anymore. Now it's just like a cool scar that looks like a zit, which is awesome. But yeah, so where was I going with that? Oh, so I know that my heart has had a good amount of damage because of untreated anxiety. So one of like the background things that most people wouldn't know is that like, while I love the feeling of finishing a marathon and the accomplishment and the medal and the whatever, what I really like is knowing that I'm doing a service to my heart and my overall health in a way that old man who jumped up on stage probably faced a similar crossroads where he's like, listen, how long do you want to be here? Because we can, you can either do it or not do it.
We can burn bright and hot and here for a good time, not a long time. Or
exactly. So the thing for me is I have really, really loved the mentality of running. I love the mentality of the training. I love a mental challenge. I love a physical challenge. And I think that all of it coming together, I'm at the point in my life where I'm supposed to be doing this. If I had started this sooner, I probably would have died on the floor somewhere. And if I started this anytime later, who knows what would have, popped up and kept me from doing it. It's like, this is the time in my life where I want to be impressing myself and proud of the things that I'm doing and running now so that I can walk later, literally. But, it makes me feel good. And I'm really glad that I was, accepted into this community and also like given the opportunities through Release Recovery Foundation. And, without it, I don't know. I think I would be in a very different mental space. I think I'd be in a very different space health-wise, and I owe a great deal to Caitlin and Zach Clark and everybody over at Release Recovery for giving me that outlet for all of this energy and all of this potential.
Yeah, it's running is definitely one of those sports that people don't realize how much it impacts the holistic human. Exactly. Until like if you don't run, you don't know. You can't. Exactly. It's not if you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know type of thing.
It's true. And I don't know. I'm not one to like walk around at people and be like, have you tried running? Like, no. But what's funny enough is like I host my own podcast, the No One Asked for This podcast, and I read advice questions from my viewers and they write in. It's a lot of young kids because let's be real, social media, it's a lot of young kids. I've been reading and we've started doing this little like part of it where I used to give good news to these guys and just being like, there's enough bad shit. Yeah. Stop reading the news. I told him, I was like, I'm going to provide for you a piece of good news so that you can say, regardless of what happens today, you had one piece of good news. Great. But now they're sending me their good news and then an advice question. And I'm like, yes, this is what we're doing. That's awesome. I read through a couple of them because like I said, I'm filming today. And I read through a couple of them and a lot of people are like, you have inspired me to start doing a little bit of running for my own physical and mental health. And I'm like, hell yeah. Like what more could you ask for? These young kids making a decision to do something that's good for their physical and mental health and having the wherewithal to write out to some random 29-year-old dude in New York to ask advice because you have something that you want to get better at in your life. Like that's the mentality that I've tried to really derive from my podcast. And now it's happening. And I'm so happy to like, to shout that out today. Like, I'm gonna read one of them that's like a kid who's saying like, I have issues with this and this, but I've decided to start running and it's been great. Like, it makes me so happy because if I could have done this process younger,
Yeah.
I might have clocked that I have an anxiety disorder and not asthma earlier, right? So it just makes me really, really happy. And I love seeing the people who have supported me. I love seeing them supporting themselves by way of the messaging. And it's the only reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now is because the world just needs a little more positivity and just something to laugh at.
It absolutely does. It definitely does. And this has been an absolute entertainment, hellacious, some might call it a train wreck. I wouldn't, of a podcast episode.
I love it.
But
If it's not a train wreck, I'm probably not guesting. That's kind of where it's at.
but it has been an absolute pleasure catching up with you, debriefing New York and London. Would definitely love to have you back on like
Yeah.
mid-training cycle or something, especially if the stars align and we end up like running Chicago together or something.
Hell yeah. Hell
Um,
yeah. And
yeah,
then you can finish Chicago, and then 45 minutes later, I'll finish, and then we can high five after that.
there
But
we
yeah,
go.
no, I think that'd be sick.
No, that'd definitely be awesome. And if you're ever up in Boston after June 1st, hit me up and we can go get hammered and pretend we're watching the marathon.
I love it. I got connects at Harpoon Brewery. We can definitely make
Oh,
that happen.
hell yeah. Hell yeah.
They love me over there, and I love them. I want them to do a little 5K, and then at the end, you drink some beer. Maybe you and I can help set that up.
Oh, absolutely. Let's do it. Let's do
I'm
it.
down. No, listen,
Um,
this was awesome. I love talking, as you can probably ascertain. But no, I love talking about this. I think it's a part of my life that I'm starting to understand my relationship with it a little bit better. But no, I love it. It's a great thing, and I love that you're pushing more and more for people to have this entryway into it because it really is important. I think it's a great thing that you're doing.
Like, yeah, and I'm by no means an elite runner, but it's that intermediate. It's like you don't have to be an elite runner to go out and get the shoes and start. And the whole thing is building these productive systems of you're realizing you need new shoes, you found goose that work. When are you training? How's your training block going? What's your plan? And all of that stuff. So that's really what the
100%.
heart of this is, and I'm trying to get that out there a little bit more. But
It's dope. It's
um,
awesome.
yeah, thanks again for joining. We will keep in touch when we organize a Harpoon 5K and whatever godforsaken marathon we do next. And I'll see you at the start line of the 50 miler next March.
Thank you, buddy.